Okay, so I thought I was just going to record a video, but apparently I'm going live now. That's what Yardstream wants me to do, apparently. So I came out here to make a video about something I just found out about that's really exciting. And but I didn't announce that I was doing a live, so there's nobody here. So it's just going to be a recording, like I thought, I guess. But basically, yeah. So yeah, there's, I guess a couple people are coming in. Yeah, so I decided to make a video about some information I just found out about the Joust from 2024. Hello, welcome in. I didn't announce this live. I wasn't going to go live. I was just recording a video, and then Yardstream turned it into a live, and I said, okay, I guess we're doing this. So hello, Virginia. Hello, San Diego, New York. Yeah, this is a totally unannounced live. I just came on here because I got some news that I wanted to talk about. And I was just going to make a video, and then Yardstream said, oh no, let's make it a live. Pennsylvania, Dayton, Ohio. So, hey, Florida. So I guess we're going live now. So this is exciting. So here's the thing. I just came across this article, and I'm going to put it up on the screen so everyone can see it. First, I got to figure out where it is. So it's on This Will Hold on Substack. And if you're not familiar with this Substack, please go subscribe. In fact, it's saying that I'm not even like signed in to Substack. But you know, Substack is a place where a lot of people have articles. Welcome everybody. Welcome to my unscheduled, totally impromptu live, because I want to talk about this article from This Will Hold about the Joust. And the main reason I want to talk about it is because it is proof that we were right. The dreaming women, the psychics, all the intuitives who started saying back in November of last year, we started to say, this isn't what happened. She won, he didn't. There was some finagling. I'm the one that said it involved Starboy. So here, hello everybody. Who do we got? Battleground, Washington, Sylvania, Ohio. Welcome, everybody. Florida. Yeah, this is totally spontaneous. Southampton, Massachusetts. We got 260 people in here without any announcement. I love it. This is so fun. So I decided I'm going to talk about this because this is what we said. For those who don't know me, and maybe for those who do, who think you know me, let me just introduce a little bit about who I am and why this matters to me. So I'm a psychic, right? I'm a psychic medium. I'm a medical intuitive, but I'm also somebody who has a background in physics, a background in philosophy. I used to be a philosophy professor. I have a degree in physics, and I like to combine intuitive information with empirical information. I like to combine intuition with logic. I think that all of these sources of knowledge are equally valid. And so at the same time that I get predictions from my spirit guides, I am also always scouring the news, looking for evidence that what my guides are telling me is true. And so whenever I get that, I'm really excited. And so that's why I'm excited right now. And I just decided to make this video, and then it turned into a live, and here we are. So I want to talk about this. I'm going to bring it up so you can see it. Hello, Tucson. Hello, Wisconsin. Hello, everybody. Australia. Welcome, Australia. Wisconsin, Texas. I just love seeing all the places people are from. So yeah, let's bring it up. I'm going to bring it up on the screen so you can see this article that I want to talk about. This is from This Will Hold. And let me see. Where are you? I got to see. There you are. Okay, so everyone can see it now. Hello, Wisconsin, Arizona, Rhode Island, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco. Split view, put pages side by side. Okay, I don't know. They're trying to tell me to learn something new. I don't know if I can learn that real quick. So let's just go through this article together. So this article is basically letting us know that there's a lot of data to support what we've been saying, what the dreaming women have been saying about what happened last November. So here's the article. Please go subscribe to This Will Hold. on Substack. You can subscribe for free or you can pay and support them. I just came across this article today. How did 435.98% of voters cast ballots in Northampton County, Pennsylvania in 2024? So in case that's unclear to anybody, the point they're making is that when they ran the numbers, it turns out that they had more votes than voters in certain counties in certain states, which isn't possible, right? You can't have votes from people that don't exist. And so this is one of the irregularities that were found that suggests finagling, right? So this just came out, in case you can't see it. I don't know how big it is on your screen. I have to keep going back to the original so I can see it because I can't see that little screen. This just came out yesterday, December 27th on This Will Hold Substack. And you can go read this for free or you can pay. So let's just read a little bit of it together and I'm going to discuss it. So over the past year, we've documented corruption at every layer of the U.S. electoral system. And by we, they mean This Will Hold. And they're going to, I think it includes ETA and smart elections, if I'm correct. So these are two organizations that have been doing all of this data analysis. So over the past year, we've documented corruption at every layer of the U.S. electoral system, from backdoor de minimis updates. Backdoor meaning someone has a way to get into a computer in a kind of sneaky way, and they call that a backdoor. So there are some, let me just discuss that for a minute. I like to define everything and describe everything so people are clear. So there are certain programs, like I remember, so I'm a Mac user, and for years I've stayed a Mac user. And although I've used Microsoft computers, I've always really stuck to Mac. And the main reason I did is because Microsoft has backdoors built into their software and Mac doesn't. So Mac has higher security. I don't know if that's changed over the years. That was the case back when I found this out. Now, when I was in science, there were some labs that used Microsoft and some labs that used Macs. But so a backdoor is when the software is written in such a way that there's a way for somebody on another computer to access your computer without your knowledge or without your permission, right? That's what's called a backdoor. And so what they're saying is that there were these backdoor updates happening to the voting equipment, that somebody was updating the equipment through these backdoors through the software. But they also found fake ghost counties where more than 1.5 million votes for Kamala Harris disappeared. Okay, there's three different things they found. Sorry, I'm trying to summarize. So they found backdoor updates to voting equipment. They found ghost counties, counties that don't exist that nevertheless submitted votes. And then they also found that 1.5 million votes for KH disappeared in real time on election night. So these are three things they're going to discuss in this article. And let me just say hello to who's here. We've got 469 people here. So if you just got here, I'm wanting to discuss tonight the This Will Hold article that just came out yesterday, talking about all of the irregularities and all of the anomalies that occurred in the Joust last November. Now, I'm just here to report this and to discuss it. I'm not making any factual claims about what happened last November, and this is all for entertainment purposes only and allegedly. But let's discuss it. Because we love data, right? It's really nice when we have data that backs up what the intuitives have said. And that's what this article is. That's why I'm very excited about it, okay? So they said they found it, they documented it, and they sounded the alarm, but apparently nobody wants to hear the alarm. Okay, so a growing number of independent journalists are arriving at the same conclusion, following the evidence to the same unavoidable place. And so they're now quoting somebody from the Existentialist Republic. I love the name of that newspaper. I've never heard of it. Quote, this is a 6,500 word article that can be summed up as follows. The GOP had motive, they had means, and they had opportunity. Every institution that could have stopped them chose to look the other way or participate in stealing the 2024 Joust. The proof is here, unquote. Now, I am going to be replacing some words just because I don't want to get in trouble on this platform. This is all just allegedly. All right, so let's continue with this article. So, yet even as more than 40%, this paragraph really upset me. I don't know how you guys, let me know how you feel in the comments about this. 41% of Democrats believe the election. Okay, more than 41% of Democrats believe the election. Can I say that word? Oops, was dragged away in a bag. I'm gonna have to be creative in the moment. Hakeem Jeffries maintains there was, quote, no Joust deniers on this side of the aisle. Okay, that part, I just gotta say something about that. That really bothers me. That there are certain members of a certain blue hat party that is so concerned with looking a certain way and not being associated with those people on the other side that they like to call deniers, so worried about that they're unwilling to even deal with data. Like, these are facts, people. This is data analysis. People have been collecting data. Like, we should be able to discuss the data and not just be like, oh no, we don't want to look like them. We don't want, this is really a problem. It's really, I just had to rant there for a minute about how I feel about that. Because for me, it's not about party anymore. It's not about appearances anymore. It's not about any of that. We're talking about the fate of our republic. We're talking about democracy. We're talking about ethics. We're talking about children. This is no longer about, we don't want to look a certain way. Okay, done ranting. Back to the article. For those who just logged in, we're almost at 500. This is an unscheduled live. I'm just very excited because I found this article on Substack by This Will Hold about data that they have found with regard to the Joust. Lots of data. And this is an amazing article. And so I just wanted to come on here and share it in case you haven't seen it and discuss it. And I love your comments. Please, put your comments and questions in the chat. And I am going to periodically look at the chat. But I want to really look at this article. So here we are, back to the article. So there's no one on the blue hat side who has any questions, according to HJ. All right. So now, this is the news that's really upsetting, though. Ken Martin has announced that the DNC will not release its internal analysis of the 2024 Joust. So some of you may have already heard about that. But basically, they did their own audit, right? They did their own audit of the Joust, supposedly to make sure everything was legit. And now that they've done the audit, they have decided to just lock the results up and not share them and not discuss them. This is highly problematic. What has happened to us as a country? Like, we no longer discuss things. We no longer have transparency about anything. This really boils my blood. Okay, so I'm sure there's a reason. I just don't know what it is yet. And I mean, someone just put in the chat something I was told a long time ago, that from the beginning they knew and they didn't want to start a CW. That's what my spirit guide said. When it first happened last November, the blue hats knew and they didn't do anything because they didn't want to start a CW. I understand that. That's what my guide said. But this is a year later, and I don't think we're in that position anymore. I don't think we have to worry about a CW. I think that there's been such a shrinkage of red-hatted Magatonians that we don't have to worry about that. I could be wrong. That's just my impression. Okay, so next section. What are they hiding? So the DNC's internal analysis included more than 300 interviews across all 50 states, and it remains sealed. Why? Why is it sealed? I want to know. That silence may explain why voters are not being told about the Pennsylvania ballot access lawsuit, where votes cast exceeded registered voters in some counties by as much as 1,265.52%, right? So they're saying there were way more tallies than tally holders, right? It's not possible. Such statistical impossibilities demand an explanation. So they got some pictures here. And then they're talking about these ghost counties. There are 5 ghost counties, and they're showing these pictures, I guess, are showing these ghost counties. So these are counties that don't exist, but which were allowed to submit for. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? It's like if I were to go down to the polling place and say, I've got a few ancestors who want to vote. Yes, they're dead. However, they have a preference. I mean, isn't it crazy? But that times thousands, times millions, it turns out. Millions of tallies submitted from counties that do not exist. Okay, so these are ghost counties in Florida and Georgia and Pennsylvania, I guess. Millions of votes. Oh, am I supposed to say that word? That do not count. So just YouTube, this is just a discussion of an article. And it's allegedly, I'm just sharing the results. Just sharing the results of this article. So here's another interesting anomaly from Minnesota, is that there's a hand count and then there's a machine count, and they don't match. So I can tell you, so I was a poll worker. So let me just, a little story time. I'm going to take down this article just for a minute, just to give us our eyes a break from looking at it. And let me just tell you a little bit about how it works. So I was a poll worker for many years. A poll worker is somebody who, works at the polling station where people come to cast their tallies. And so I know a little bit about how it works. And we have machines. So people actually have paper tallies, and they walk in and they use a machine to mark their paper tallies. Then they take their paper tallies and they bring them over and they put them into our machine. We have a tally counting machine. The machine counts the tallies, but we also have the tallies, the paper tallies. And so at the end of the night, when everybody is done with their tallying, with their, I'm trying to be careful. I don't know if I can say these words or not. I guess I can. So people come to the polling station to vote. They put in their ballots. And at the end of the night, we have to count them all, right? We have to count them all. And so all of the people, and we're all volunteers. I mean, we get a nominal stipend to show appreciation, but it's not really, it's not a paid job. It's like you're doing it because you want to participate in your civic, your civic duty, And so my sister and I used to always do this just because, we come from a family of people that we always have been involved in, our community and helping out the community. And so you go and because it's like a 12-hour day. You get there at 6 a.m. It's more than 12 hours. You don't get home till midnight. So it's a very intensive job to have. And so you have to count them all, and you put them in stacks. And then you carry them physically. You drive your big box of tallies down to the drop-off place. And so there is a digital tally, right? Because every time a person put it into the machine counted it. So there's an ongoing count happening. But there's also a big bag of paper ballots. And so the number of ballots in that bag should exactly match what the machine said there is, right? Those should be the same number. And what they found in this article is that there's a statistically significant discrepancy. Hello, everybody. This was a spontaneous live. I just decided to come on here because I read this article on Substack about data, about the Joust last November, which matches what we, the Dream Women, said happened. And so I just wanted to come in here and share this because I think it's great news. Hi, Detroit. Hello, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Got like 600 people here. I didn't even announce this. I hope my mods are here. Please, anyone let me know if there's any rude behavior in the chat. We never have any, but that's because I have great mods and I didn't announce this live. So I just really hope my mods are here, and just let me know if anyone is being rude to anybody, and I will try to attend to it. It's hard for me to see 600 people typing. Mods are here. Okay, one of my mods, thank you, Kat, just confirmed that the mods are here. I so appreciate you. I know you guys are probably like, half the time she doesn't even tell us she's doing a live. I know, I don't know. I'm still learning. I know it's been a while, but I'm still learning some of these things. Okay, yeah. So here's a little validation from Help Me Jesus too. You learn so much being a poll worker. California takes it all very seriously, especially the training and chain of command and the reconciliation process. It's true. If you want to be a poll worker in California, that's where I have been a poll worker. You have to go do an all-day training. And the position that I had, my sister and I had, I forget the name of it, but like we're like the managers. So we're in charge of all the other poll workers and making sure that everything is running smoothly. And yeah, there's actually, you know what? They tried in California, they tried to get me to go into a much higher level because I guess they really liked the way I did it. And there were some people from like the district. I don't even know the names of all these things. But like we were once running a polling station that was really big, and it had multiple precincts in one building, like in a gymnasium or something. And so we got to know a lot of other poll workers, and we got to know, and I had to like report. We took it really seriously, my sister and I. So we would report anything that we thought was a problem, like if our machine wasn't acting right, or if there were too many provisional ballots, we would always report it. And so I was constantly calling people and saying, hey. And so they got to know me, and they were like, hey, we want you to be like a district manager next time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to participate, do my civic duty. I'm not trying to have like a full-time job. But anyway, back to the story. Recap. So Indiana Smith says, can you do a recap? So let me do a recap real quick. I came on to do this spontaneous live because I just read an article, and I'm going to pull it back up. I had it on the screen a minute ago. I'll pull it back up. By This Will Hold on Substack. And it's about all of this, all of these discrepancies in the data. So here's the article. This Will Hold. Please go subscribe to them, either paid or unpaid, but please go support them. But this is an article where they're talking about all of these irregularities that they found in the Joust from last November. Oh, they're going to tell me to sign in. Uh-oh. See, I'm not signed in. I don't know why. So this is what we're talking about. And so I've just been going over it. And so I just wanted the three things, if you want me to summarize, the three things they're talking about in this article are, one, that they found evidence of backdoor updates to voting equipment, right? So that should not be happening. So someone is getting access to the voting equipment computers while people are voting. Number two, the existence of ghost counties where votes were submitted, but there were actually no counties. And then also the third thing they're talking about is that there were 1.5 million votes found for KH to have disappeared in real time on the night of the Joust. So now I'm just reporting on this article. This is just for entertainment purposes only, allegedly. I'm not making any claims. I'm just coming out here to discuss this article. And the reason I'm so excited about this article is because I'm one of the people over a year ago, back in November, who said this was what happened. I'm the one that said November 6th, November 7th, I think it was November 7th, when I came onto these different platforms, and there were lots of other people that, not a lot, but there were a few other, the Gia Prism, Spirituality with Sam, and myself. I know the three of us were very active and outspoken that very first week after the Joust, and we all said the same thing, which is that things are not as they appear. The Lotus Queen actually won. There was finagling, and I was the one that said it involved satellites and a certain star boy. And so I'm very excited about this article because it shows a lot of data that supports what the intuitives have been saying all this time. And I really like, as somebody who is a psychic medium who also has a background in physics and philosophy, I really like when the intuitive information and the empirical and logical information support each other. And that's what we can see right now in this article. And so let's get back to the article. So I'm going to discuss the article, but I'm going to interrupt it with my own little analyses and my little stories, so that we're not just looking at this article the whole time. I don't want you to get bored. We got like 700 people here who just jumped on this, 754 spontaneous live. So some of you may have already heard about this. This came out yesterday, December 27th. Okay, back to the article. So hope people are caught up now. So we're just going through the article. So now we're at the point where they're talking about hand count versus machine count. And so that's where I was giving the little story about what it's like to be a poll worker. There's the hand count, there's a machine count. They should be the same. Typically in elections, hand counts are not done. We rely on the machines to give us the count. And the only time hand counts are done is when there's some question about whether or not the machines were accurate. All right, so let's look at some of the data that This Will Hold found about hand count versus machine count in Minnesota, District 8. They said they have machine counts that exceeded hand counts by 6 to 8%, a discrepancy that should have set off alarms nationwide. And then they also want to talk about North Carolina, where there was a statistically absurd drop-off rate that coincided with the reality that roughly 90% of the equipment had remained untested and uncertified since 2020. So let's talk about what drop-off rate is. For those who don't know, I'm going to just drop this out again. Okay, so drop-off rate, what that describes is when, so when you go and you fill out your ballot, you fill out at the very top, they're asking you who you want for president. And then below that, there are all these, what they call, down ballot things that you're voting for. Maybe there's a senator you're voting for. Maybe there's a representative. Maybe there's a proposition, a state proposition that you're voting for. And drop-off rate is when, someone correct me if I have this wrong, because I think I know what it is. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, do I have that right? Is when people vote for the top person, right? Let's say the top person is a blue hat, and they say, I'm going to vote for the blue hat presidential candidate. But then they don't vote for any of the blue hats running for other offices. And so that's a drop off. Someone's in here. Okay, we got some people. We got some knowledgeable people in the chat who are going to talk about. Are you going to talk about drop off? Tell me if I got it wrong. Waiting for Godot. Oh, I love my comment section. I love my community here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. While I'm here, let me remind you, I have a buy me a coffee QR code there if you want to buy me a coffee. Oh my God. Basically, here we go. Listen to Just Being Me, Sparks 6538. Basically, we did not have a fair joust. That's what this article is showing. All of this data is showing multiple irregularities, multiple types of finagling, not just one type, but we have at least 3 major types that happened in multiple states. Okay. And so here, this person's just explaining what drop-off rate is. It's Ashley Chang, thank you. It's the comparison between the president and the next down ballot candidate of the same party. So I did have it right. Thank you. So wait, did I? Okay, I forgot how to get that out of there. Okay, hide. Yeah, so there's a certain percentage of drop-off rate that you expect to see. So most people who go to vote, they vote the whole ballot. They vote most of the ballot. Some people might not vote for a proposition because they didn't read about it, or a judge, right? Some of us don't know who the judges are, right? But most people vote for the president and the senator and the representatives, right? Those are really important things to vote for. And so there's a very tiny percentage of people who will vote for the president and not vote for anything else. But what they found in this particular joust was that there were this huge number of ballots where people only voted for the red hat president and did not vote for any other red hats on that ballot. Or they also found people voting for a red hat president than voting blue hat for every other race, which is also something that doesn't happen. Okay, so let's go back to our article. So we're just discussing this this article that just came out yesterday on last year's Joust and all of the irregularities. And this is all data that supports what the dreaming women like myself have been saying for the last year. Okay, so now the next really big, interesting, and very troubling form of irregularity that they discuss is these disappearing votes. And so here we have a picture from a TV news station. Does it say which one it is? It probably says it down here. But let's just look at the picture for a minute. And what they found is if you actually watch it in video form, I've seen this video. Some of you may have seen this video. Let me know if you have. If you were watching the news that night and you were actually watching live TV and they were voting, counting the votes live, you would have seen that there were certain numbers, right? Like at this point in time, Harris had this many votes and this guy had this many votes, right? And then you will notice that later, I think this is a later time, that suddenly this person's votes dropped, right? From 2 million to 1 million. So do you see that? She was ahead here. And so it's possible that someone can be ahead and then they're not ahead. That always happens, right? But what doesn't happen is people's total number of tallies don't disappear. Here's the total number, and then here's the total number, right? So that's not possible. The way that somebody wins, right, is they have more than you, but you don't suddenly lose votes and the other person gains votes, right? Everyone keeps gaining, but they gain more than you and then they win. That's how it works. Like, I feel silly that I have to explain this, right? I mean, we all know this. I'm just trying to make it really plain because my whole purpose in talking about this is for people to know about this article, and I'm just trying to make it like really clear. So, isn't it crazy? Oh, I see some people are sending me super chats. I have to acknowledge you. I really appreciate everybody for coming on, for commenting, for liking, for subscribing, and thank you for your super chats. I'm trying to find your super chats. I was talking and I didn't see them. I'm looking for them now. Like, I can see them at the top of my screen, but if I want to put it on the screen for everyone to see, because I want you all to get credit, I have to go to the actual, where is it? So thank you, everybody. I'm going to keep talking about this article and how it supports what the dreaming women have been saying from the beginning. I don't know where these super chats went. Oh, I guess I don't know where they are. So if I haven't acknowledged you yet, please forgive me. I will acknowledge you as soon as I figure out where you went. But so thank you for the super chat donations. And I'm sure they're going to show up any minute now. And so we're talking about this article because basically, but they've been analyzing data for quite some time, for the last year, and they're finding all of this evidence that things were very wrong that night. And another thing that that was in the article for those who came late is that the fact that the DNC, right, the DNC did their own audit, and they've decided to not disclose the results of their audit of the Joust, which is really problematic. Okay, so let's see what this super chat. Thank you, Kathleen O'Malley, for your $10 super chat. My personal experience of the voting irregularities while voting. I voted blue across the board, and 3 times the vote was changed to the orange tuber. Upon my 4th change, finally back to KH in Texas. That's from Cass. Thank you, Cass, for sharing that. I can talk about some other irregularities I saw as a poll worker, not for this one, but for the one in 2016 when supposedly that person was elected then. There were a lot of irregularities then. Okay, here's another super chat. Thank you from Lynn Danish. Lynn Danish Ihara 1677. Thank you for your $9.99 super chat donation. Now I know why KH stopped counting votes. The Dems didn't want this to come out. Why? Yeah, why? So I'll tell you what my guide said. When it first happened, I asked my guides, like, why isn't anyone talking about this? I know they know. We could tell they knew, right? There were lots of signs that they knew, right? That KH knew, that JB knew. Why weren't they doing anything? And what my guide said was that they were afraid of a CW, right? A C war. And that they weren't going to challenge it because there were all of these militants out there, terrier cells, that were ready to be activated at a moment's notice. And to prevent that, they did not speak up. My question is, now that it's been more than a year, and now that a lot of those people who were supporting the Red Hat Magatonian camp, now that a lot of them have defected, have left that camp, and now that their support has shrunk, do we still need to be worried about that? I don't feel like we do. I feel like we need to tell the truth. And so the fact that the DNC did this audit where they went to 50 states and interviewed all these people, but they didn't share the results and they're just going to lock it up in a cupboard somewhere. This is really, I'm very upset about this because we need the data, right? We need the data to come out. All right. So here this person says, Kendra says, oh, it's safe to assume that it's full of shenanigans. It is now, but it wasn't always like this, right? I do think, so what my guide said is that it started happening in 2016. They told me that it happened in 2000, that joust was not legit. That person did not win. They said that they tried again in 2020 to finagle, and they failed that time. And that's why they were so upset and making accusations, because they could not believe that their efforts failed because they worked the first time. And so then in this time, they brought on the big guns. They brought on the satellite boy, right? And this way they were like, we're going to make sure there's no way we can lose this time. So that's what my guide said, for entertainment purposes only. So back to the article. Let's bring it back up. We're looking at an article that came out yesterday from This Will Hold on Substack. Please go and subscribe. I just found this today, so I'm very excited about it. I have heard of This Will Hold before. I have been following like their posts, but I don't yet. I subscribe. I just subscribed, but I don't subscribe. I don't have a paid subscription yet. I probably need to do that next. I literally just found out about this, jumped on the spontaneous live because I just we got to talk about this. All right. So where were we? We were talking about how they, in the middle of counting on live TV, there were lots of witnesses. The number of tallies that KH had went from 2 million to 1 million, which is not possible. Okay. So Americans got to see 989,289 votes disappeared in real time. According to Dana Nassau's 2022 request for a special prosecutor, there were 5 vote tabulators that were removed on November 28th, 2020 by felons' allies, taken to hotels or Airbnbs in Oakland County, broken into so that tests could be performed on the equipment. Very sus, right? So the plot took shape at the South Carolina ranch of so-and-so's election denial advocate, Lynn Wood, during Thanksgiving of 2020, and involved these allies of felon Sidney, Michael Patrick, among others. And this plot ultimately led to the illegal breaching of this equipment in 5 different swing states. How convenient. Now, the Colorado case actually resulted in a 7-count conviction. You may have remembered Tina Peters, right? she was actually convicted and went to jail for illegal behavior related to equipment. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison. All right. So this was the most damning case, according to experts, the one in Georgia. And I don't want to read all of this, but let me see. Here we go. We don't want to sound like them. This is the problem. This is the problem. People don't want to sound like them. This desire to not want to sound like them is outweighing what we should be doing to protect our republic. So because of all of this election denialism by that side, that poisoned the well, that expression poison the well, it means that, somebody ruins something. So the whole concept of questioning the fairness of an election became a topic that nobody wanted to talk about because the well had been poisoned by the J6ers, right? People who denied an election and then engaged in efforts to violently overthrow the government, allegedly, and according to numerous trials and convictions. I mean, I say allegedly, but there are a lot of people who were convicted of that very thing. But, we got to say allegedly on these platforms so that no one thinks, got to be careful that we're not going to be accused of whatever they're going to accuse us of on these platforms. I don't even know. So here, this person said, I was awake the entire night into the next day. I saw it happen in real time. So hope Suzanne actually saw that sudden change in numbers, apparently. Right. So this is really exciting because look at this person, Maud Mox Goods Susie. PTSD from that night watching the returns twist on a fraudulent dime is real. Yeah, don't we all have that? Let's take a break and talk about that for a second. So it's the end of the year, and I'm trying to have my Christmas tree in my shot. There's my Christmas tree. It's the end of the year, and it's a time for reflection. It's a time for quiet, time, reflection. The year is ended. Let's reflect on the whole year. Let's prepare for the new year. And, we've been through some things. We have been through a lot this year. And so we kind of have to just give ourselves a little credit for what we went through and how we endured it and how we kept our hope alive and how we've tried to keep our spirits high. And we've survived, we've survived something, PTSD worthy, horrific. And we're still here. Not only are we still here, but the resistance is alive and well. So that's why I did a post earlier today about the resistance, because although our news sources don't really report on it, we've accomplished a lot. And this article is just one example of what we've accomplished. This is the result of these organizations working all year, analyzing data, filing lawsuits, trying to bring the truth out. So let's get back to our article. We're talking about an article by This Will Hold. Please go subscribe to them. And we're talking, I'm excited about talking about it because as a dreaming woman, I was one of the people who said December 6th or 7th, along with Gia Prism and Spirituality with Sam and a few other psychics, we all said something happened. These results are not legit. And what I said was that it was because of satellites and a certain star boy. Okay, so what they're talking about here is this whole poisoning the well problem. Election integrity became synonymous with election denial. So asking questions, just asking questions about, hey, was this a secure joust, started getting treated as destabilizing democracy itself, right? And then silence became the least harmful option. And they say, but that calculus is wrong. And I agree. It's not right that just because a certain group of people used that rhetoric to justify violence doesn't mean that we can never again question the integrity of our election. So here's some more information. There were more than 200 fake Russian bomb threats that happened the night of the election. Isn't that crazy? 200. So people were in the middle of voting, and these bomb threats came in, and they had to evacuate. And then then the votes were not secure. Let me talk about that for a minute, because again, as a poll worker, I got some firsthand knowledge, expert knowledge, as a trained poll worker. When you're a poll worker, you can never leave the voting machines unattended. You can't even leave them in your car. Like, they deliver them to your house, and you have to be home when they deliver them. Like, they can't be sitting on your doorstep like you're at work and the voting machines are on your doorstep and you're like, no, you have to be there when they get there. You have to bring them into your house immediately. And then you have to never have eyes off of them from the moment you get them until the moment that you deliver them to the drop-off point. And so that means you don't take them to the polling place the night before and set up. That would be nice. We all wanted to do that. We were like, why can't we just set up the night before instead of having to get there at the break of dawn? And they're like, because you can never let these machines out of your sight. And that's, chain of custody. That's how you make sure that nobody could have messed with them. And so, like, my sister and I would get up at like 5 a.m. and lug the machines and the little dividers. There's all this equipment. And we'd go into like some school or library or church or wherever they had us setting up. And you'd have to like rearrange the furniture and set up all your little stations and put up and set up your machines, and you run all these tests. And you have to do all that. And then you're there all day from like 6 a.m. till midnight. And then those machines go in your car, and then you take them to the drop-off point. So at no point are they out of your view, and you can't even leave. Like, if you want to have lunch, if you're one of these supervising poll workers, you don't get to leave and go like, I'm going to go have lunch. No, you have to bring your lunch. You can't ever leave the machines unattended. And so, for them to have a bomb threat and then these machines are unattended and anybody could have gone in there and messed with them, that is just completely unacceptable. That means you don't know anymore if anything's legit. So that's why they did it. I think, allegedly, that's my theory. Let me acknowledge the people who are making donations. I appreciate you. Here's somebody, Tam Sea Salts. Thank you for the $10 donation super chat. What does it mean going forward? Will anything change because of this article? Thanks for amplifying. Well, it will change if we are going to do something, right? So I'm not saying this to you, but I'm saying this to everybody. But I'm really glad you asked the question. I get this question a lot from people. Well, is anything going to happen? Or people say nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to come of this. And I understand people are feeling hopeless. People are feeling dejected. It is really frustrating that criminals keep doing criminal things and nothing happens to them. But I do believe something is going to happen to them, because my guides have said something is going to happen. They have said again and again, the truth is going to come out. And this is what's happening. The truth is coming out. And it's stages, right? Like, for a long time, there was no evidence. There were just crazy psychics like me saying, hey, there was finagling that night. There were things that happened that were illegitimate. The results that we got were not the true results. It happened because of satellites that were using back doors into machines. That's what I said. But there was no evidence to support what I said, right? It was just intuition. Now we have evidence. This is progress. And we have to focus on progress. We can't just focus on why aren't things the way we want them to be, right? We would like the circus to leave town. We would like this person to be taken out of the seat that they did not earn. We would like people to go to jail, right? I have a lot of things I would like to see happen, and they're not happening yet. But we are seeing things happening. And so I don't know, from my perspective, as somebody who saw this a year and a month ago, to finally see an article like this come out with data after they did all of this research and data collection, for them to put out a report saying, look, we have lots of empirical evidence that these results were invalid. For me, I see that as very exciting, very rewarding proof that we are progressing, because for the last year, we haven't had any proof. We've had these ETA. We have had ETA filing lawsuits, and so we have had some data here, some data there, some lawsuits. We've been slowly, right, producing data. But this is a lot. This article is presenting a lot of different types of data in lots of different states and putting it all in one place. And this article just came out yesterday for those who just joined me. This article just came out yesterday. You can go subscribe to their Substack. This will hold, and you can read this article for free, or you can pay to read it, if you have the money to support them, please do. Then they could do more research. You can also support ETA. You can also support Smart Elections. These are two organizations that have been researching and collecting data about irregularities for the last year. So please support them as well. They have YouTube channels and TikTok channels and Substacks as well. So please support them. They're all putting out data. But this article is really exciting because it's kind of collecting a lot of data in one place. So let me just acknowledge any other people who are donating to me. I want to thank you. Thank you, Debbie Bartlett, for the super sticker for $4.99. And who else did I miss? Did I already get this person? Oh yeah, we already acknowledged you. Thank you. And thank you everybody who is who's donating. And thank you for the people who are buying me a coffee at my little QR code there. I've been getting a lot of coffees the last couple of weeks. I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Here's another super chat. Thank you to Love Not Hate 46 for your $10 super chat. 4 a.m. club member here. I woke up that next morning sick to my stomach and felt really strange all day. It was like being in the twilight zone. Yes, it was. So for those who don't know, the 4 a.m. club, that's a term that was coined by Gia Prism. She's a content creator on TikTok. She also has a YouTube channel. And she started talking about this phenomenon where all of these women, and it was mostly women, there were some theys and gays and a few guys, but it was really like 95%, 99%. I don't know the exact number. It was all women mostly. Women who woke up the morning after the joust and either had had a dream or they woke up with a feeling, intuitive knowing. And there's all of these women, and they all woke up at like 3, 4 a.m. And they all woke up and they knew that something was wrong and that something had happened to the joust. And so she coined that term to describe that. I was not one of those people because I didn't wake up at 4. I actually stayed up all night. And then I got information when I did fall asleep the next day. I fell asleep in the middle of the day and had a vision where my guides showed me what had happened. And so then I went on to TikTok and I thought, am I the only one who thinks this? And so I went on to TikTok because TikTok, my experience back then was that stuff that you couldn't find anywhere else, you could find there. News that was not being reported anywhere else was there. And so I went there and I found Gia Prism was saying the same thing that I was getting. And Sam was saying the same thing. And I said, okay, well, there's at least 2 other people who are getting the same thing I'm getting. So I'm going to start posting what I'm getting. Now, there were then other intuitives who also began posting and more of us. And I started organizing the various intuitives online And I called us the Dreaming Women because that's what my guides told me to call us. And we started meeting offline, online. I did a whole lot of lives. I started doing lives every day for weeks where I would invite different intuitives and psychics into my lives. And we would all discuss what we were getting from our guides, what psychic predictions we were getting related to the political situation. And so I'm really excited about this article that just came out today by This Will Hold, because the data that they are presenting is supporting the intuitive information or the predictions that many of us made starting a year and a month ago. Okay. So what I said a long time ago was that it had been finagled with the help of Starboy using satellites and manipulating digitally the counting of the tallies in the machines. And this is different from how it was done in the past. So my guides told me that in 2016 there was finagling, but it was different. It wasn't using that method. And in 2020, when they tried to finagle, they failed. And that's why JB got in, because their finagling didn't work that year. And so that's why the next time they brought in Starboy to make sure it would work. So this is what my guide said allegedly happened. Okay, so I'm just going to check and see if I'm missing any super chats that I want to acknowledge. Here's one. I want to thank you, Liz Lou Police 8296. Thank you for the $4.99 donation. Wanted you to know how beautiful you are. Oh, thanks. And I can't believe how much you look like my mom when she was young. I'm not young, but okay. She was from Lumbee Nation, Durham, North Carolina. Oh, the Lumbees. Yeah. So yeah, we look alike because we're Southeasterners, right? And we're mixed. Well, I don't know if your mom was mixed, but I'm mixed. And the Lumbee Indians in North Carolina. And I also have an ancestor from Cherokee, North Carolina. So they're pretty close together. And then my other ancestors are from Florida, right? Seminole. I'm Seminole from Florida. And then I've got some Sagali from North Carolina. And I've got some Natchez blood from Florida as well. And so that's all kind of the same region. And then, of course, I'm mixed with black and white. So I'm a mixture of different things. And the Lumbees, a lot of the Lumbee Indians, they have some of the same mixtures. Like when you're from that part of the country, a lot of tribes mix together, so a lot of us who are from down there, we have different heritages that are mixed from different tribes. And so we do kind of look like each other. Okay. Let's see. Thank you. There's 985 people in here. So if you just got here, we're talking about the Joust and the newest data that came out showing that there were some gross irregularities that happened. And we're discussing that. I'm just stopping to thank people. Janice Powell, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Lisa. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody. So thank you, everybody, for your super chat donations and your questions and your likes and your subscribes and your buy me a coffees. And just thank you for being here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Muskogee Creek too. Okay. Yeah, they're also related to the Seminole. Okay, yeah. So she's just answering me that she was Cherokee and Lumbee and black and white and Muskogee Creek. Yeah, so we have a lot of the same heritage. That's why we look alike. Creek and Seminole is, a lot of it's the same. So yeah. Oh, thanks for all the compliments. Okay, so let's get back to. Oh, we got another Cherokee in the room. Oh, okay. All right, so let me get back to the article. We got to take breaks. We can't just read the article all day. You get bored. Okay, so we're reading this article, and let me go back to the top so you can see what we're reading. How did 435.98% of voters cast ballots in Northampton County, Pennsylvania in 2020? 2024. So they're talking about how in certain places there were more votes cast than voters who actually could be submitting votes. Okay, so where were we? So we're looking at all of these different irregularities. All right, we're not going to go over all this stuff about 2016 and 2020, even though, like I said, my guide said that the shenanigans began in 2016. Okay, let's get to the epi. Oh, look at, they're talking about the epi files, and this is what we should be talking about. If you didn't see my post earlier, my guides told me today that we need to all be talking about the files nonstop. Okay, so let's go back to the article. Why steal the Joust? To start, the Epstein files were moved front and center as a catalyst for election thuggery. Just as the election whistleblowers told us in August, the powerful men in Epstein's orbit have everything to lose. A Harris presidency and a functioning Department of Justice would not turn a blind eye to a global sex trafficking operation, no matter who is implicated. Then there were the multiple pending investigations involving both Donald Trump and Elon Musk, possible treason charges tied to collusion with Russia, 88 felony charges for Trump, looming prison sentences, knowing the Democratic Party was unlikely to challenge the outcome, all of the above. Felon did publicly thank Starboy for his knowledge of, quote, those vote counting computers in Pennsylvania, and state attorneys generals didn't bat an eye. So here's an exact quote in the article from the head guy. Quote, he journeyed to Pennsylvania where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania, and he's a popular guy, and he was very effective, and he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers, and we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good, so thank you to Elon, unquote. Oh my God, right? Like, this is the other thing. Let's get back to, we're over 1,000 now. Let me just say something about that as a psychic medium. Who said that? Many, many months ago. What I said many, many months ago, my guides told me to say it. Everything that I tell you is from my guides. They said they are going to confess. And what they said to me is, they said the blue hats were not going to challenge it because they were afraid of a sea war. They said that nobody internally was going to be able to bring this to the forefront. They said it was going to have to be an international body, or the people who did it were going to publicly confess. And that was the only way, because if they publicly confessed, then their supporters would stand down and there would not be a sea war. And so I was very excited because sure enough, they did publicly confess, and they did it 3 times. So I don't know if you were paying attention, but there's the one we just read from this article. This will hold. That quote I just read you, right, is from that article. That was from the head clown. And then there was on another occasion where I don't have that quote in front of me, but somebody else probably can put it in the chat. There was another time when the head clown said, oh yeah, it was rigged and we won. So there was a second confession. And then there was a confession by Starboy on Twitter where he said, if it weren't for me, so-and-so wouldn't be in office. And then he enumerated exactly how many Congress people would not have been in office if it were not for him. Another confession. 3 confessions, but nothing happened. And so I just want to say something about that as a psychic, that it's very frustrating for those of us who are psychics and who are precogs, right? A precog is someone who can see into the future. And so I get these things, I say them, and then they happen, but then the consequences I was hoping would come from them don't happen. And that's been very frustrating, right? So I said, they're going to confess publicly. They did confess publicly. I thought that would be the end of it. No. I said the truth is going to come out about these irregularities, about the counting, about the machines, about, the numbers, the data being wrong. Today we're seeing, we've seen lots of lawsuits by ETA and SMART over the last several months. Today we're seeing this article, which is kind of bringing a lot of the data together into one article. This is what I said would happen. It's now happening. So it's a very good feeling, right? That we were right? That we, the dreaming women, the psychics, were right. But it's frustrating because we were expecting certain consequences, right? And so let's talk about the files for a minute before we get back to the article. We're gonna keep talking about the article, but I want to just talk about some other things too. The epi files. So today I did a post because I've talked to my guides yesterday and I asked them, here it is, December, I asked what the 26th. We were all hoping something would happen by Christmas, right? That we would see somebody leaving town or somebody, giving up the ghost, and it hasn't happened yet. And it's frustrating. And so I asked my guys, okay, TikTok, what's going on? And they said, well, the files were meant to come out on the 19th. And if they had come out on the 19th, we would have seen the end of this by Christmas. Didn't happen. It got obstructed because what is in those files is so far-reaching, so horrific, so detailed. There is so much undeniable proof in those files, videotapes, audio tapes, documents, photographs, that there's no question after you actually see the files, there's no question as to the guilt of a certain somebody. Not just one somebody, lots of them. But for the relevance to the question that we have about the circus being evacuated, that's what's relevant right now, is that person's guilt is unquestionable once you see everything. And so what they said to me was, well, people obstructed it. And they said that our job is to demand that they be released, that we have to make that our rallying cry. That has to be what we focus on. We all have to be, maybe we have to go into the streets. Maybe we have to write letters to our people. I don't know what we have to do. Maybe we have to talk to all the newspaper people. Maybe we have to sing songs. Maybe we have to make street art about it. Maybe we have to get our friends abroad, our international friends to, publish things about it. I don't know. But they said the people have to keep demanding that the truth come out about these files. We have to keep demanding it. That's what they said. And that's one of the things they've been saying all along, is that it's the people that make things happen. It's the people. No one's going to save us. It's the people. And we have been very busy all year. The resistance has been very busy. Okay, let me get caught up on some of these questions. Crystal Lynn Mears, thank you for your $10 super chat question. I'm behind on videos from being out of town for the holidays, but have you seen the videos from good old Daniel on YouTube regarding PDF files? Trigger warnings all around, but wow. I have not. So thanks for letting me know. Please, can you put that comment on the actual video after our live is over? Because then I can, I go and read all the comments. But once the live is over, I don't always get to read all the things in the chat. So please put that in the chat. I mean, in the comment section of the video. Okay. Thank you to Sandine McClure. $14.95 for your $10 super chat donation. Thank you for all you do. You are a blessing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay, I'm missing. I know there's another. There's a $50 donation. I want to acknowledge you. I'm trying to scroll and find your name. There you are. Bill Morgan from Colorado. Thank you for your $50 donation. You don't have a question. You're just donating. I appreciate that. Okay. Let me see if there's any other chat questions I need to address. Okay. There's always really interesting side conversations in the chat, right? That's what's great about this community, is that you can come into these lives and you can just have these conversations with each other. Oh yeah, let's not forget this. Thanks for the reminder, Ami. Elon also said Trump was in the files, which is what started the conversation big time in the public. Okay, now this is also something that my guide said would happen, and then it happened. And, some things just take a while. So it can be frustrating, right? Because my guide said they're going to fight. And there's going to be a lot of infighting. And the infighting is going to lead to the downfall of the circus. And we are seeing that happen. But it just feels like it's taking too long. So yeah, here we had this one come out and publicly disclose something that was really important. And we all benefited from this. So I am grateful to him for his little fight when the boys were fighting. And it did. It helped to lead to putting more momentum behind this movement to get the truth out about those files. Okay. Okay, this person, here's a valid complaint from Rainy 1386. Spirit keeps pushing the bar and making us do more and more. It does feel that way, doesn't it? I mean, we are impatient. I know I am. I can tell you that in January of this year, when we were waiting for the inauguration, I was really like, oh, this has to be over. This has to be over because I'm exhausted and I can't go on. That's what I said. I can't go on. Because I had been just like every day, going into meditation, going into trance, getting information, posting every day, doing lives, hours long, every day, meeting with different psychics every day. Like, it was just exhausting. And of course, that was almost a year ago, and here we are. It turns out we're much more resilient than we think we are. It turns out we have a lot more resources at our disposal than we even realize, we've got 1,100 people in here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're talking about the Joust, the Finagling, the data that came out yesterday in this Will Hold article, and all related topics. So I just want to stop for a moment and just, we got to remind ourselves that we are very resilient and we are very powerful. And, I saw a couple of creators in the last couple of days giving kind of summaries of everything that we have done this year. And I was thinking about doing a post like that. I might still do it. Because sometimes we have to just be reminded of all that we've accomplished. Like, there were tens of millions of us out on the street, on multiple occasions, in cities and villages and towns throughout every state in this entire realm. There were countless letters written. There's been all these investigations. There are all these internet sleuths who've been combing through files, who've been looking things up, who've been exposing things. There are all of these amateur journalists out here reporting, right, on the news, or if you're me, the non-news. Comedians out here trying to keep people's spirits up, storytellers, psychics, people forming community organizations, neighborhood groups. I was on the ground doing medic work. I was doing work with a feminist organization. There are so many people doing so many things in the resistance. And we just got to stop and just recognize how much we've done and how powerful we are. It's easy to kind of focus on all the bad news and get down and be like, oh, we'll never make it. There's no hope. It's tempting. But it's really just a matter of focus. If we actually focus on what we've accomplished and what we've endured, then we can stay hopeful, and just look at all of the people who came together to help their neighbors. Look at all of the people that joined rapid response teams around this country, whistleblowers and people driving around, people alerting people to the presence of frozen water in their neighborhood, people providing resources to immigrants. Look at all the people who put food pantries in their front yards and provided food and diapers and whatnot to people who didn't get their SNAP benefits or who just lost their jobs and didn't have money, right? Like, we have really all come together and unified in the most amazing ways. So we just have to stop and acknowledge that. So let's get back to this article. Thank you for the new member. Spencer Creech became a member. Thank you to all my members. Thank you to Kathy Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Namaste for the $5. Okay, back to the article. All right. Let's talk about this article. All right. So in July of 2024, and just, stop little announcement. This is for entertainment purposes only. And allegedly, I'm just reading an article. These are not my words. I'm just reading an article and we're discussing. Okay. In July 2024, Elon Musk formed the America First PAC, which harvested voter data exclusively in swing states, data that would later prove useful if one were building vote banks in ghost counties for deployment on election night. He then launched a $1 million per day giveaway to reward voters for registering and voting, established a headquarters, and built a full get out the vote operation in Pennsylvania, the same state where a lawsuit has been filed over extensive election-related issues and where Dr. Walter Mabany Jr. has identified at least 111,088 intentional malevolent ballot manipulations. What do Americans think Elon Musk meant when the New York Times reported the following? On October 5th, just days before the DTC activation, Musk texted a confidant, quote, "I'm feeling more optimistic after tonight. Tomorrow we unleash the anomaly in the matrix," unquote. Then an hour later, quote, "This isn't something on the chessboard, so they'll be quite surprised. Lasers from space," unquote. That's pretty, I had not, I had not seen those texts before today. That's pretty shocking. I just need a moment to let that set in. How crazy is that? Yeah, how crazy is that? So this article, please go subscribe to this Substack. This article is just chock full of information, very damning information that supports what the psychics have been saying for the last year about what happened. Let me see what your comments are. So here's someone's opinion. So Opiop 3992 says, "I do not see how a sea war would have been any worse than this, and I feel it could have been quickly ended with the military on the right side of the Constitution." What do people think about that? It's hard to know, right? With a W, you never know what's going to happen. You don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, a lot of times people enter into conflicts thinking, oh, it'll be over in a minute. And then we're still in it years later. So, so it's kind of hard to know. Okay, here's some other people. Some other people are chiming in. According to Joni Rolene, there was an interview with Tucker that was also a confession. Oh, good. This person just subscribed to This Will Hold. Thank you, Amy Goodrich, for subscribing. Everyone subscribe if you can. There's free subscription and paid. You can do either. So here's another person's opinion. Bleeding Green Betty says that someone, I'm not going to say the name. I don't know. I'm trying to be careful just because I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here. That E stole voter information. 2 states are investigating. People who signed up said they were never even registered. The website just said, thanks for taking the first step in registering. Now, I can tell you, again, as somebody who, so I was not a poll worker for this particular joust, but I was a volunteer for the Democratic Party calling voters. And I can tell you that there were an inordinate number of people who said they had registered, but they did not receive proof of that in the mail, or that when they tried to get proof of it, they weren't able to get through to the registrar's office. There were a lot of issues with registrations. Now, I don't know how widespread this was. I was seeing this in California. I was calling people in several different districts, and this was a recurrent problem. Violet Rosebud, thank you for the 1999 super chat. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing your intuitive messages and knowledge with us. You are a blessing. Thank you. I hope I'm acknowledging everybody who's donating. Oh, this person subscribed. I think to this will hold. Maybe you subscribe to me. I don't know. Muskrat. Yeah, I should get back to my character names. Okay, I'm just looking at your questions, see if there are any questions I can answer, or just any comments I can share with people. Yes, listen to Deborah Duval. We have to trust that there is a larger, more divine plan. And I agree with Kendra. Like many criminals, he likes to brag. So this is another concern that some people have. Janwig 9347 is bringing up, how many people are involved? How many people are benefiting? We don't know, right? Okay. Thank you for the new member, K Beach. And if I haven't acknowledged you, forgive me. I am trying to acknowledge everybody who asks a super chat donation question. Here we go. Thank you to Kathleen O'Malley for your $10 super chat donation. 3i Atlas is an accelerator of light coming to the forefront. Yeah, so I'm going to do another post about that probably tomorrow, because I've been posting a lot about 3i Atlas, but I haven't done so in a few days. And Kathleen O'Malley, in fact, I think is the one that sent me a YouTube video with some new information. So I'm going to discuss that. Here's someone who said they organized a 3-camp. Thank you, Indiana Smith, for your comment. I organized a 3-campus food drive in November that was way more successful than any of us ever imagined it would be. Yeah, people were so generous. I did work with food banks as well. This is how I feel, Ashley Chang. I'm tired, but enjoying my popcorn, because we do have these moments like today where this article comes out and it's exciting. It's like, yes, the truth is coming out. So Amy or Ami says, my guides have told me there's a big possibility of Starboy exposing the 2024 joust. And I also picked that up, that was a possibility. And it's like when he did do that one thing, right, where he did that confession, that looked like, oh, it's headed in that direction like we thought, but nothing else has happened. So we're kind of all just kind of waiting, right? Yeah, so let's talk about this. Lori Dolson, psychics have been saying, I'm one of the ones who said it, that all this needed to happen to wake up the Magatonians. Yes, that is what I was told as well. I was told that, quote, we had to go through some things in order to wake up. And it's frustrating for those of us who are already awake, but there needs to be a critical mass of people awake. And it's not just, awake is a simplified way to talk about it, but we're going through a shift in consciousness, and we need a lot of people to go through that shift, right? And the shift isn't just about people who were supporting the circus, no longer supporting the circus. It's also a shift in consciousness that has to do with, excuse me, it has to do with like certain belief systems that contributed to his popularity. Now, he was never super popular, that he was never popular enough to actually win, right? But he was popular enough in a certain group of people to be a threat. And the attitudes that predisposed people to want somebody like that, those are the things that need to evolve, right? The racism, the sexism, the homophobia, the transphobia, the classism, the worship of billionaires, right? The materialism. Those are all aspects of our consciousness that need to evolve so that we evolve to a point where we will never again be susceptible to that kind of campaigning, that kind of populism, that type of nationalism, that type of supremacist thinking, right? That's the evolution we have to go through. And so what my guide said is that we needed to go through some things, and we needed to really, things needed to get kind of extreme for us to realize how much we have to change. And so when it comes to the epiphiles are just so monumentally important, because the epiphiles, when they are fully revealed, reveal so much. They don't just reveal that the joust was finagled. That's one thing that's revealed. They also reveal that head clown and lots of major clowns in the circus are PDF files, right? It also reveals that many of them are essayers. It also reveals that there is a global trafficking ring of bad traffic. It also reveals the way that wealthy merchants are involved in political machinations that determine who gets into office in various countries throughout the world. It also reveals how corruption is so endemic to so many institutions. So there's so many revelations that come out of these files. And all of those revelations allow us to wake up and to recognize what it is about our society, about our government is broken. What about it? What about our institutions is broken and needs to be changed? Because this character, this main character, is a catalyst, right? And that's another thing my guide said. They told me this in 2017, January 16th, whatever day that was, November of 2016. I was a poll worker. I got home at like 1 a.m. and found out. And I asked my guides right away, why did this happen? And they said, he's a catalyst. He came here to create a lot of chaos and to destroy a lot of things so that we will grow, basically. And we're just growing in a really difficult way, right? We're having to go through a lot. Okay, so back to the article. Oh, did I miss any? We already acknowledged that one. Thank you, Kathleen. And then let's go back to the article. So we're talking about this article. Jimmy, first, Violet Rose Bud. Thank you for, did I already acknowledge you? Sorry. I'm always afraid I'm going to forget somebody. And so if I already acknowledge you, then I'll just thank you again. And let's go back to the article. Okay. So this is kind of a long article, so there's a lot to cover. I'm not going to read all of it, but we're just going to discuss a few more things. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, this is what my guide said too. So in the article, it says they're talking about 2020, that all of his attempts to overturn that election failed. Now, my guide said that they thought for sure they were going to have that one finagled just like they did 2016. And then when it didn't happen, they were really shocked. And that's why all of that other stuff resulted, right? All of the J6 and the lawsuits and all the endless stuff that happened, because they really could not believe they had failed, right? And they had those 4 years to figure out, okay, how can we do it better next time? Okay, so let's see. All right, so let's see. What are we going to talk about next? Okay, they're talking about how everyone knew for sure KH was going to make it. She had all the people. He didn't. We knew she had it. Then came the night, right? Quote, Democrats won down ballot, Democratic initiatives passed, and yet somehow KH supposedly didn't. So again, this is the drop-off vote, right? How is it possible that all of these people voted red at the top and blue at the bottom of the ballot? Doesn't make sense. Almost immediately, reports surfaced, more than 200 fake Russian bomb threats. Chain of custody breaches. So I was talking about that earlier, right? When you're a poll worker, you have to always have chain of custody with the machines. You can never let them out of your sight. We had voting equipment failures in swing states, only in swing states though, the most important places. And then we had polling places that were using Starlink, right? Using the satellites from Starboy, which they're not supposed to do. They're not supposed to be even connected to the internet. But yet they were, and they were connected to these satellites. And then you had all of these people, all of these voters online asking why they couldn't track their ballots, why their ballots weren't counted. So normally, and it depends on where you live, but in a lot of states, like in my state in California, after you vote, you can go and check the status of your ballot. You can track it, and they'll tell you whether or not, if you mailed it in, if they received it, whether it was processed. If you voted in person, they'll tell you that they received your vote. And that's how it usually works. But this year, 2024, there were thousands and thousands of people who were saying, I was told that I never voted when I did, or I was told my ballot couldn't be found. And so that was very bizarre, right? So just another irregularity. So many irregularities, right? Okay, back to the article. All right. Okay, so that what this will hold is saying was that this was not unforeseeable. And a lot of people have said this, right? That this was preventable, that there were a lot of indications that we were in trouble before it happened. So here they're talking about, okay, due to the 2020-2021 illegal election equipment breaches, on December 4th, 2023, 22 computer scientists, election security experts, and voter advocacy organizations sent a duty to warn letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher Wray, Special Counsel Jack Smith, and CISA Director Jen Easterly. Their warning was blunt. The multi-state effort to unlawfully obtain copies of voting system software poses serious threats to election security and national security and constitutes a potential criminal conspiracy of enormous consequences. And then they named the illegal breaches that were confirmed. They named the companies, the voting systems companies. And these were experts who said, look, this was before it happened. This was before November of 2024. They were warned. Why didn't anyone do anything? Right? This is a question a lot of us have. Why didn't anyone do anything about all of these problems that were already in place before it happened? Now, I haven't specifically gotten any information on that from my guides. I have been told by my guides that there are people that knew what happened and that they know what happened. This is not like these people in high positions who are saying everything was fine, nothing happened. That's not true. They know something happened. That's what my guide said. We don't have any proof of that yet, right? I'm just telling you what my guide said. But then again, this is proof, right? What I just read from the article, I feel like that is proof that we were right, that they knew, because if they got that duty to warn letter from all these experts, then they knew that this was possibly going to happen. And then when they saw the outcome, which did not make sense, how could they not know? I don't know. I'm just saying aloud some of the frustrations we all have, right? Some of the questions we all have. You know, it's been frustrating. I should stop and introduce myself. I always forget about that. I'm known as the Ethical Psychic, aka Jennifer Lisa Vest. I'm a psychic medium and a medical intuitive. And I have been tasked by my guides for the last year with coming onto these different platforms and providing information about the spiritual significance of the political situation we find ourselves in. And along those lines, I've been making predictions. I've been providing big picture explanations of why things are happening. I've been telling stories. I've been providing some comedy in the form of my Metatron on the news. And then sometimes I just come on here to discuss like science and psychic when it comes to 3-Eye Atlas, or like today, just talking about this article and what does it mean when the psychics are saying something and the evidence is saying the same thing. Okay. And this was an unplanned, unannounced live. I just was going to make a video. I was trying to make the video and Yardstream said, no, you're going live. And I said, okay, I guess I'm going live. Because sometimes that's the way spirit works, right? Those of us who lead a spirit-led life, our lives are kind of unpredictable because we have plans and we have ideas about what we're going to do. And then spirit's like, no, you're going to do this instead. And so you have to learn to be open to signs and to plan changes and to, things that just show up. You just have to be open to like nudges and sudden little suggestions we get in our mind. Like, we think you should do this. Oh, okay. But I had plans with my friend. I'm doing this now. Okay. That's just the life of a psychic. Okay. New member. Thank you, Starlight Synchronicity, for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for following, liking, subscribing, being a member. Thank you for buying me a coffee at this little QR code here. We're talking about this new article that just came out yesterday by This Will Hold on Substack. And I want everyone to subscribe to them. Yes, they do. Here's a little testimony from another psychic. They throw us some real zingers sometimes. Yes, they do. Our guides. And here's the thing. Little side convo about psychic work. A lot of us, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but a lot of us, certainly my story, we kind of accept this life kicking and we kind of get dragged onto this path, right? So I always saw myself as an intellectual. I went to school for a long time. I got a lot of degrees. I became a professor. I write books. And I saw that as my life. My life was just going to be someone who wrote books and taught classes and gave speeches and went to conferences and had intellectual debates. Like, that was what I saw my life was like. But I was born with a lot of gifts. And throughout my life, teachers kept showing up. And I wasn't looking for teachers, but they kept showing up. And I kept getting teachers, and I kept having teachers, different psychics, starting with my family, my great-grandmother, and then, people that I just kept meeting, healers who kept telling me, you're a healer, you're meant to be a healer, you're a gifted person, you're meant to do this work, you're meant to help people with your gifts. And I eventually had to accept that this was what I was supposed to be doing. Now, I do still write books and I do still teach, but I did leave the academy. This is a book I just wrote last year on philosophy, Native American philosophy, called Sovereign Wisdom. It is kind of pricey. Fair warning, it's an academic book. I have nothing to do with the price. I don't sell these or produce these. I just write the books. It's the publisher's fault that it costs what it does. They get most of the money too, so it's not like I'm making a bunch of money off of this. This is a book I wrote for psychics and healers on how to be an ethical practitioner. This is available everywhere. Had a much more reasonable price. And then this is the only one of my books that I actually published myself. This is just a poetry book called Ancestor Count. So those are some of the books I wrote. But now, I have to do this psychic work. I have to help everybody with my gifts. That's what I do now. And particularly this year, they were really clear that I had to make it my kind of full-time work to help people navigate these difficult times. And so I do spend, I still have my own work, but I also spend a lot of time doing this because it's really important. What we're going through is really important for the whole planet. It's important for our country. It's important for our evolution. It's important. And so this is one of the things that my guides want me to do, is to help people navigate this. So that's why I'm here. So let's get back to this article. I haven't read this article in its entirety before I came on. I found the article. I got super excited after reading the first page, and I said, I got to make a video about this, because this article is confirming everything that the 4 a.m. Club, the psychics, the dreaming women, that we've all been saying for a year. Okay, so where were we? Here we were. This Will Hold is the Substack. We're reading their article, so please subscribe to them. Okay, so then after the election happened, apparently, I remember this. You all probably tell me in the chat if you remember this. After the Joust, another letter came out. Do you remember this? November 13th, 2024. This is like a week later. Those same election security experts sent another duty to warn letter, this time to the vice president, alerting her that voting systems had been breached by the allies of Felon in 2020 and 2021, and urging her to seek recounts in key states to ensure election verification. But look at this. They remained silent. I mean, why? We were all so shocked by that. They remained silent. Now, I told you what my guide said. They said they couldn't do anything because they were afraid of a sea war. That's what my guide said. I don't know. Other people said similar things. We had other psychics saying similar things, saying that they couldn't do anything. They were saying that, in particular, that KH could not be the one to do anything. That's what a lot of us got that same message. And so this is apparently a year later. Here's a quote from Vice President Kamala Harris, where she said, quote, "Both parties have failed to hold the public's trust. The people feel that the very institutions designed to support them have failed them. They are not wrong," unquote. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I got to stop sharing. So we can just reflect on that for a minute, right? How crazy is it that, nothing happened? They got the duty to warn letter. They got another duty to warn letter, and nothing happened. And, we've all been reeling from this, right? And so now we have all these lawsuits, right? ETA, smart elections. We have this article that came out yesterday, which has all of this data saying, look, there were a lot of shenanigans that happened on that day, a whole lot of things that should be investigated. So the question is, will they now investigate it? Do people feel safe enough now? Because what my guide said was they were afraid of a sea war. It wasn't safe. It wasn't safe to do this investigation a year ago. Is it safe now? Because, it is true that there are a lot of militias, right? There are a lot of these groups of people who are very fond of pew-pews and who wouldn't think twice about starting something, a conflict. And, so I do understand that. I don't know is that still a threat? Like, do we still have to worry about that? Because so much has changed in the last year. So many people have left that movement. So many people have woken up, have come to their senses, have realized things. But, the thing that's going to make it super, super clear for absolutely everybody who ever supported the circus is the full release of the unredacted, complete files. That's what's going to be the final nail in the coffin, right? So this is why what my guide said yesterday is that we need to be demanding, and in whatever way you can, that don't stop talking about the files. This has to be our rally cry again and again and again. We have to keep talking about this because this is the final nail in the coffin. And the sooner it all comes out, the sooner the evacuation of the circus happens. So I've been on here almost 2 hours. So I think I'm going to stop now, or stop soon. I'm going to look at some questions in the chat, but I'm going to take a break from the article. And maybe I'll do another live tomorrow. We can continue talking about this article because it's quite long and we didn't even get through the whole thing. We've been on here for an hour and 44 minutes with 1,000 people. So let me see what you all are saying. And reminder, you can buy me a coffee here if you want to support my work. And lots of people do support me and I really appreciate you. So let's see what people are saying. Okay, here's what Kathleen O'Malley has to say. Once the old guard, dark money from special interest groups and corporate influence is removed, justice can and will move forward. Yeah, that's what my guide said. They said that a lot of institutions have to fall in order for new ones to be built. Yeah, I agree with you, Opie Op. That's so many things. I love all your O's. So many things led us to believe someone in control would do something to stop this. But my guides kept saying, it's up to the people. It's up to the people. It's up to the people. And yes, there are going to be some international bodies involved. They're going to help us, but we cannot count on our domestic institutions to save us from this because too many of them are complicit. Andy Ann Diedrichson 2559. Sometimes it's hard to read these words that are all pressed together. She's stating her opinion about Hillary. That's also what my guide said. Okay, this person, in answer to my question I asked earlier, haven't things changed enough for us to be safe enough to talk about this? Carrasco says, it hasn't changed. Proud Boys have rearmed themselves and they have made it clear to the clown that they're ready for anything he wants. I didn't know that. I'd like to know more about that. I have seen a lot of evidence to suggest that a whole lot of people have changed their mind, and so many people have reported flags coming down. At all those protests I went to, there were no clown supporters there like there used to be at previous ones. It does seem like there has been a big change in the numbers. Ashley Chang agrees with me. I think it's safer now, they say. Yeah, there were all these little hints, right? Biden said something like, "You're not going anywhere, kid." Oh, someone said I have 979 likes. Oh, I love that. Thank you for keeping up, Jennifer McAlchemy. Oh, yeah. And so this is what I Am Root says. A Black woman contesting the results, a tinderbox for the racist misogys. Yeah, I think so. Okay, here's somebody who's in security saying they've been politely screaming about it. Sweet Melly says yes, they would have erupted. Yeah, I agree with Tammy Seasalts. I see new independent parties in the future. Let me talk a little bit about the future. I think I am going to start a new series of stories where I talk about the future that I've been shown, the far future. But, the future I have been shown indicates that we're going to see just massive change in all of our institutions and the structure of our society. We're not going to have reform. We're going to have massive, massive restructuring in a very positive direction. And so that's what I've been seeing. We're going through a difficult time now, but we are going to see very positive positive change. Yeah, I agree with Life Spark. This is a global club. Okay. Well, there's also this factor, which I'm not even going to read aloud. This was something that some people said that she was forced. That did feel true to me. That they said it's not safe, we can't do anything, and then she went along with it. I don't know. It's just a theory. Okay. All right. So let's continue this conversation perhaps tomorrow night. And so I just want to thank everybody and ask you to please become a member, join my Patreon if you like. And thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to seeing you again, maybe tomorrow or the next night. I think I'm going to do another live because I'm really excited about this article, and I think we need to talk more about it. This whole video has been for entertainment purposes only, YouTube, for allegedly, and we're just talking about an article. All right, take care, everyone. Have a nice evening, and if we don't talk again, have a nice new year.